Good evening and welcome to the special meeting of the Planning Commission of the City of Moreno Valley. I now call this meeting to order on November 21st, 2024 at 6 p.m. I invite Commissioner Zeitz to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May we now have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Taylor,
Present.
Commissioner Zeitz. Present. Commissioner Terrell,
Present.
Commissioner Stefan,
Present.
Commissioner Dejanay,
Here.
Commissioner Cobian,
Here.
Chairperson Gonzalez.
Here.
Thank you.
We're now going to approve the agenda. May I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda?
I'll approve. I'll motion.
We have a motion made by Commissioner Zeitz,
I'll second.
motion by Commissioner Dejanay. May you please start the vote? The motion carries 7-0. Before we hear public comments this evening, I ask and encourage everyone participating to keep their comments respectful toward others, especially towards the individual speaking. I embrace and support the First Amendment right to free speech, including everyone's right to speak at this meeting and share his or her views about issues concerning our city. Any person wishing to speak, either under the public comments section of the agenda, scheduled items, or public hearings, must fill out a request to speak form available at the door. The completed form must be submitted to the secretary prior to the end of the public comment period. During the public comment period for each item, including items not on the agenda, each member of the public who has signed up to speak will have a maximum of 3 minutes to speak. The public must direct their comments to the chairperson of the commission. Now we move into public comments on any item not on the agenda. Are there any speakers for items not on the agenda?
We have one speaker, Mr. Bob Palomares.
Good evening, Planning
What-
Commission.
One moment. Sorry, our apologies, we're training. Okay, thank you.
Okay, anyway, I wanted, Mr. Erlin, congratulate you on your win and thank everybody that ran for whatever seat. You know, that goes to show that we might have our differences in opinions of the agendas, but we're all residents of Moreno Valley and we can always come together, you know. And I wanted to congratulate you guys on yesterday's, you know, because you guys are the ones that voted on it first, the Aquabella. You know, that's a big deal. And it's gonna provide a lot of work, a lot of revenue. And it's a great thing because without that, believe me, I think this city would begin to sink because that's gonna be keeping us busy for a long time. And I know there was a lot of opposition with the unions, and I know some of them, the unions supported the mayor, who was the only no vote. But I was reading the paper and I did some research, and you know, they were kind of wanting to postpone it, some of it on behalf of the unions, to see about negotiations possibly before they approved it. And you know, if you delay that under those circumstances, and the mayor has maybe received contributions from that union, that would have been a humongous lawsuit. Because there is no, you know, I'm not an attorney or anything, but the research I did, there's no blanket mandate in any city in the state of California that says you have to provide, you know, union jobs for some. The only thing I read about it is saying that is required to get union jobs is when you receive federal funds. So you know, in my opinion, and like I said, I'm not a lawyer, we dodged the bullet by it getting approved because, you know, there's a lot of money involved from the time the inception of the proposal and all the work staff did and the developer. So, and the thing is, you know, everybody was talking about it, the opposition, and why they wanted it delayed, and there was all the proof. In my opinion, the judge would need to say, you know what, yeah, you cost them a lot of money because they were waiting for the new council member to be seated, and then if they vote no, for sure, it's going to show that there was a trail to betray it. So that's just my opinion, but thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Are there more speakers?
No more speakers, thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the approval of the consent calendar. All items on the consent calendar are considered to be routine and non-controversial and may be enacted by one motion unless a member of the commission requests that item be removed for separate action. Items withdrawn for report or discussion will be heard before action on the consent calendar. Questions or comments from the public on a consent calendar matter must pertain to the subject under consideration. At this time, would any commissioner like to pull an item from the consent calendar for a separate vote or discussion? Do we have any public comments for items on the consent calendar?
No comments.
May I have a motion second to approve the consent calendar?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
A motion made by Commissioner Dejanay and seconded by
I'll second.
Commissioner Steffens. May you please start the vote? The motion carries 7-0. The next item on the agenda is the non-public hearing items. Do we have any items at this time? We do not have any items. We do not have any items at this time. Next item on the agenda is public hearing items. Item number 1, Development Agreement PN 24-0080. May you please have the staff report?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, members of the commission. Robert Flores, planning official, here to present agenda item I-1, which is for development agreement PEN 24-0080 for a freeway-oriented sign. Now, this development agreement is before this body for land use and zoning purposes and considerations. The community benefit terms, different uses of the sign, and other provisions of the agreement are negotiated with and may be changed by the City Council. Currently, the term of the draft, within the draft agreement is shown as 30 years, but it may be negotiated and changed by the City Council. Now, the project site is located off of Spruce Avenue, just north of the Highway 60 and east of Redlands Boulevard. I'm sorry, west of Redlands Boulevard. The proposed sign is located on the site on the southwest corner of the RV and boat storage facility on Spruce Avenue, as shown there by the red pointer on the slide. The proposed sign has a maximum height of 50 feet and is designed as shown on the slide there. The sign will include both a freeway-oriented sign display, which is the one on the top, and a smaller storage facility identifier display, which is the smaller one below that. With that, staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt resolution number 2024-34, recommending that the City Council determine that the project is exempt from CEQA under categorical exemption 32, which is an infill project exemption, and approve the development agreement PEN 24-008. That concludes my report. Available to answer any questions.
Are there any commissioner questions for staff? Commissioner Zeitz.
If I heard you correctly, this will go to City Council after us?
Yes, it will.
It says that it was with alignment or agreement with the GPU general plan update. Which general plan update is this in alignment with? Is it the 2016 or the 2040?
Currently, our active or effective general plan is the 2006 general plan, and when we did our review, we found it consistent with that general plan.
one, but I'll think a minute.
I have Commissioner Colby.
Do we have any renderings or any specifics on this sign? I mean, do we have any elevations, height? I mean, I'm assuming it complies with all the Caltrans requirements and all sign requirements from the state.
If we can get the presentation back up, we do have a few elevations and site plans. But yes, the sign is going to be required because of its adjacency to the freeway to comply with Caltrans requirements, and I believe that that permit is actually in motion or already approved. And if I can show, this is the site plan, so it's on the southwest corner, the red line shown there on the site. And then this is one of the main elevations from one side, but I have some reference elevations that I can share, which is there. And that shows the dimensioning and similar to the previous one. That's both sides of the freeway shown there.
So it's on the north side of the freeway.
North of the freeway, yes.
Westbound on the 60, going
Westbound, yes.
Yeah, westbound.
Let's say 50 feet. Is that 50 feet?
Yes, maximum 50 feet. The top of the poles there that are holding it up is 36 feet, and then with the top of the sign is 50 feet.
40 feet, is that a standard sign size? Is that, I don't know, I think it is. It might be, or actually, what is a typical sign on the side of the freeway? I know there's a standard sign.
It varies. It
that's
depends
not
on
illuminated.
it depends on elevation and also the zone's height requirements and things of that nature. But yeah, the height really is determined by the location and so that the sign is visible from where it's at. If you have a separated elevation or separated grade, then you may need a taller sign to allow for folks to actually see the sign. But it also has to comply with whatever standards that apply to that site.
Have some of those signs been, I mean, those previous ones, maybe grandfathered in with certain heights, whatnot? Or they're pretty, in Moreno Valley, are they pretty just standard?
They're pretty standard from what I see. I wasn't available here when they got approved. But all signs, when they got established, were required to meet the height requirements.
At that, whatever the
Maximum
time.
height, at whatever that time was.
Robert, if I may, I'm going to chime in on one thing. This sign is relatively the same height as the existing sign that is associated with the auto mall. So they're similar in height. And then Steve's going to opine a little bit on the development agreement and the authorities that allows the city.
So under state law, development agreements have to be adopted by ordinance. So that in effect results in amendments to our current municipal code. So if there's variations from our height requirements or any other development standards that are in our muni code that are different in the development agreement, since it's adopted by ordinance, that basically has the effect of amending those provisions for this particular project.
I saw on there, this is a double-sided sign. Is it fully illuminated? I saw it said LED lights or something like that.
It's double-sided, and only the larger sign is illuminated,
Not the,
or
okay,
LED. Yeah, the lower
on
sign
both
is more
sides.
on both sides. Yes.
Have a, go ahead, Commissioner.
Sorry. Are there any amendments to this, to any city ordinance that we are going after today?
Well, like the city attorney just mentioned, development agreement by its nature is amending the municipal code.
Okay.
That's because it's adopted by ordinance, and everything in that development agreement is it's codified through the ordinance that will be presented before the city council.
Okay, so it is basically the sign is following the city ordinances, is what I'm asking. We're not changing, we're not
once
trying to
adopted.
override any city ordinance. at
Once
this point.
adopted, it complies with everything that's stated in the development agreement, all the requirements and standards.
Okay, that may not catch my question. What I'm just saying is, are we,
If you were to look at an alternative freeway-oriented sign, if you were to look at a traditional freeway-oriented sign as expressed in Title IX, would this sign expressly meet what Title IX identifies? Is that what I'm
basically, yeah,
understanding?
if we didn't have to, are we making any changes to put this sign in from our, basically any,
The development agreement, the reason that we are going the route of a development agreement on this one is that the sign area is larger. The copy area is larger than what is allowed expressly under, within Title IX for freeway-oriented signs. And the height is also higher than is identified under Title IX related to freeway-oriented signs.
Basically, we're making a larger sign, we're
We're
overstepping.
allowing for a larger sign through this development agreement. Yes.
In exchange for certain benefits that we cannot otherwise unilaterally require as a condition of approval.
I kind of want to, the revenue contribution, the public benefit, does the development agreement spell out how those funds and revenues will be used or allocated in certain facets of the community? Or is that at a later time, or when is that determination made?
So the development agreement doesn't specifically spell out how those funds are going to be used, just that they're provided to the city. Yeah.
Those funds
they-
will go in our general fund.
Yes, those funds will ultimately be entered into our general fund, which as part of our 2-year budget cycle would then be allocated as determined by the city council when we do our 2-year budgets.
So it goes to the pot, the general fund pot.
Yes, sir.
And then we use it like a regular, how
We use it.
traditional allocated.
We use it just like any taxes that we take in, whether that's sales tax, property tax, to pay for facilities and services.
And
Well,
your
this-
$75 stipend.
Yeah, that's funny. So it's not specific to a certain sector or certain program per se.
There are no
Just-
earmarks.
Okay.
Is there a reason they're asking for a larger sign?
That may be a question for the applicant.
Okay.
Okay. Are there any other commissioner questions for staffs, or shall we move on to the applicant? I think we are. Okay. At this time, would the applicant like to speak?
Thank you, Jeremy Kraut, EPD Solutions, the applicant's representative, and thank you, Chairperson and Commission, for holding this hearing tonight and considering the request. Appreciate your time to do that, and do want to thank staff for the work that they've done to date. This has been a project that we've worked really closely with them, and as we worked through the plans and the negotiation on the public offering to the city. I also just want to mention I have the owner's representatives here, as well as the sign specialist, the AdArt, who can speak very specifically more to any questions that more in a technical nature than I would be able to provide. So I'll just quickly go through a quick overview and answer the Commissioner Stefan's your question. So just quickly on the presentation, is somebody else controlling this one? Or oh, thank you. As far as the company, William Warren Company, they're a California-based company, and they own and they manage self-storage or storage facilities with RV and storage like the one that is where the location of the sign is proposed. They've owned that site for over a decade, and they've been a part of the city for quite some time. They own across the nation as well, and operate across the nation. For this site, where the sign is located, we talked about the details there. Again, another rendering, which is the same as what you've seen before. I'll just, since we have it up, the sign size, which is the question you asked, there is a standard for these types of signs. This is on the smaller size standard. There is a larger size that's up to 60 feet wide, so this is on the smaller side of 48. And the reason for the size that's proposed is really about visibility and the ability to show the copy and what's shown on the screen at the sign. And that's considered by looking at the freeway frontage, any obstructions, the view corridor for people driving on the freeway. So that was considered in the proposed sign size. And in order to achieve the revenue that's estimated for this sign, and be able to provide the public benefits that are going to the city, a certain size is needed because that's the only way that they could attract revenue, meaning advertisers, to use the sign. So any smaller, they just would not be able to attract the advertisers to rent space on the sign. And again, in this case, this is a very unique situation for Moreno Valley, but also this is done in many other cities as well, which have the benefits of freeway frontage with this public-private partnership, where you can build signs like these and share that revenue with the city or agency where the sign is located. And so that was built into the development agreement that's before you this evening. We went over the sign location. So there are some renderings that are in the environmental document that's in your agenda packet. I just took two of the simulations, one looking facing east and then one facing west along the freeway. And so this is from the frontage road. There's also one from the freeway, but the other sign size in consideration is that there are trees along that frontage. We want to make sure that it's visible from the roadways. But the community benefits that we talked about, you heard about the revenue sharing that's occurring. That's really important just from the standpoint of what we'll bring to the city. Also, in addition to that, there is a provision in the development agreement for community messaging. So there would be guaranteed time for the city and its community services department and others to be able to advertise community events and other occurrences on the sign as well. One other part of it, in addition to the revenue sharing, is a one-time upfront $500,000 grant to the Community Foundation, the Moreno Valley Community Foundation, which I'm sure you're familiar with, but they provide a great community service to homeless, to children, to many other services in the city. So that's a large grant that's going to the foundation up front, and that would ultimately really double the budget or the amount of revenue the foundation has in the year. So it's a big grant to them. So with that, there's an overview of the benefits. There's revenue sharing that's been estimated over the period of time, but again, we have to make some estimations there, but this is what we are seeing in there. There are strict regulations with what can be shown on the sign, so both from the way that the owner would operate, but also in working with the city. So that's an important consideration for you as well. But happy to answer any questions if you have them, or appreciate you listening to me.
Are there any commissioner questions for the applicant?
I have one.
Commissioner Zeitz.
In comparison to, say, our Moreno Valley Mall sign, what are the Loomis or light death? Because I mean, the one on Moreno Valley, when they hit the white background, it's very hard to see on the freeway. I'm just curious how bright this sign will be.
I don't know what that sign is generating. I could bring up if you'd like the like I said, the expert in signs. I will say that during the daytime it is brighter. At night it's cut to at least 20%, if not less, to dim the lighting at nighttime to prevent glare for the drivers on the freeway. But I don't know when that sign was built and if that's changed over time as well. So.
I do have concerns being that it's in the darkest area that I just hate to see it be this large beacon of somebody's whatever advertising, and that's what that end of town looks like.
Commissioner Zeitz, if I may, just real quickly, the sign will be required to meet the illumination requirements from the municipal code, and also with being processed through Caltrans and the permitting there, they also have certain requirements that would abide by the illumination that is appropriate for a sign adjacent to the freeway.
And I have a second question on it. As for how will it affect the environment, since that is mostly open area? Do you feel that it will be bothersome I know there's neighbors not very close at this point, but being that this sign is made to be seen from miles away, we do have houses that are west. How can you protect them from having this glaring into their houses?
So a lighting study was prepared to show the distance of the lighting and to ensure that it would not impact it. And as as Robert mentioned, the municipal code does have restrictions on how that lighting can spread and be at a certain lumens at night. So it does have to comply with that. It is also something that can be adjusted. So if there is a concern with it, it can be reduced from a typical standard nighttime lumen to a lower amount if there is a concern, and it can be on either side of that sign. But it does the clear restriction is about the municipal code and what's available there, and then Caltrans also, as we heard, has restrictions.
And back on the environmental part of that, do you feel that knowing that you do these signs quite often and whatnot, do they have an impact on wildlife in the area?
Because of the restrictions that they have, that we have not seen any impacts in that regard. This is an active area, although beyond it there may be some undeveloped sites. It is a developed property where there is a storage use there that does have lighting. But as far as the environmental impacts, that's been studied as well, and it identified no environmental impacts that would be significant.
I have a question, and I don't think the development agreement addresses it, or maybe it does. Does the city have the option to? I know it mentions advertise. Is that something discretionary by the applicant or the owner, or is that something that who makes that determination how that functions?
So I will chime in on that. With regard to the development agreement and the way it is prepared, it gives us the opportunity at any time to send over a pre-prepared message, which they are in agreement to fly for us. There was a discussion with them at one point in time about establishing a certain percentage of time relative to the sign. But ultimately, after looking at the types of advertisement we do and how, and the fact that this is set up to run, 365 days a year, setting an actual percentage was not appropriate, because we will not be utilizing the sign at such a rate where we would even account for 1% of the amount of runtime that the sign actually has based off of how often the information swaps.
So at any time?
At any time, we can make the request, and per the agreement, they have to honor that request.
Thank you. Commissioner Desjardins, question?
Yeah, just curious, would anybody be able to rent time?
Yes, it is they would contact the owner or AdArt to make sure that's to rent the time, find out the amount. I'm sure what we would be doing is giving the contact information to the city. Again, because the city as a partner in this would be benefiting from finding more and more people to advertise on there, and so the city would have the contact information of the people that are managing the sign and the content, and be able to provide that contact so that we could be reached out and an agreement struck. So yes.
Is there any agreement to go along with emergency services? For instance, what is that, Amber Alert, stuff like that?
I would have to defer that if there's an Amber Alert provision to what the owner. I don't know the answer to that, but I know that the city, again, if there is a emergency situation, they could post as well. They could request posting.
Okay.
Commissioner Gobi?
At its peak, how often does each advertisement rotate? And at its peak, how many different advertisements do you foresee rotating? I'm just curious. I mean, is it 20, 30, is it 50? And how often do they rotate? Is that what happens? I'm just curious.
Terry Long, AdArt Sign Company. The standard is a 6-second change. It can be a 7 or 8 second change. So you have essentially 6 or 7 in a minute of messages that can be put up. For the minute, and then for the month, yes, for the month that they can be the same or they can rotate.
Okay.
There's flexibility in all of it. And with respect to the lighting, This is a 10 millimeter display, and the control of dimming it is within the display, within the controls of the display. So in theory, you could dim it down to where it's totally off.
Yeah.
So that has that capability.
It's a TV. It's a giant TV.
It's not, well, it's a TV that you can control.
Yeah.
You-
Got it. Thank you.
I have a last maybe follow-up question. The one, if we're looking at the digital sign on the 215, is comparatively speaking, is that one bigger than this one or about the same? You know which one I'm talking about? One in Paris? Yeah. that one.
I don't have any information on those sign dimensions and what they are. I believe I know which sign you're referring to.
The big one, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know what its dimensions are.
Side of the freeway there.
Yeah.
Okay. So being that there are no more commissioner questions of the applicant, thank you. We will now open public hearing at 6:31 p.m. The clerk will call upon each person who has requested to speak. Do we have any public comments?
No public comment.
Would the applicant like to provide any additional information? Okay, seeing none. At this time, if there are no more speakers for public testimony, then we will close the public testimony at 6:31 p.m. and move on to deliberations or a motion. Do we have deliberations from our commissioners? Commissioner Zeitz.
Basically, with these type of signs, I realized, and just to let people know that this sign, if you take a cargo container that you see going down the freeway, it's two of them stacked on top of each other up in the air. We did with our Aquabella going through, finish your statement. Basically, they were showing this development with all kinds of mountain scenes and what you can see and all this stuff. And I personally, I feel that a sign of this size would be different to people's views of the mountains around the city, things of that nature. Also ruining your night sky. There's a lot of cities that are no longer doing, I'm going to call them billboards or freeway signs. They're actually removing them. I don't think one of this size would be good for that. It is the gateway to our city, and I understand that. And then people say, well, it's advertisement because they can come in and see what we have. We have cell phones. They want to go to a restaurant. They just ask, what's the closest whatever restaurant to us, and it pops up in front of them on their face. I can understand putting the sign up for the storage unit, advertiser things, but I'm not a real fan of billboards and bright lights on the side of the freeway. I think it's a kind of a, I hate to use the word low class, but it's just doesn't seem right that our gateway to our city is lit up with advertisement. We're not Las Vegas. We're not Atlantic City. We don't need to have bright lights shining on everybody to get their attention. People know what we have here, and even with Aquabella, once Aquabella gets established, we won't need signs, like Disneyland doesn't have large signs all over the freeways. They have small signs that directs them to where they need to be. Personally, I don't think we need this large of a sign out there. I think it's detrimental to the area because it is basically a rural type area. Yes, there is some commercial in there, but it is rural. And everybody that's back, I'm going to say north, this sign's going to be their horizon when they look towards the city. It's nice to see city lights, but not one giant glowing, I'll call it a torch or whatever. I just think it's going to be detrimental to that end of the city. I can understand that they want to do advertisement and get their business in, but they have something that large, and like I said, it's like two semi-trailers stuck up in the air, lit up, and that's going to be huge. I'd like a little more study and how it's going to affect the surrounding area. I know we only go like 300 feet or whatever it is, but there's a lot of people, this light goes a lot farther than 300 feet that people can see, and I think we should be asking people that are going to be affected by it. I mean, something that we shouldn't have out there that you can see from, I know the M is one thing, but we shouldn't be able to see a billboard from the M from across town. Those are my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Zeitz. Any other comments? Okay. Seeing none, do we have a motion to, or a second, to accept staff recommendations?
I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 2024-34 and PEN 240080.
Do we have a second?
I second that.
Commissioner Cobian and Commissioner Dejanay did the first. May we please start the vote?
Our apologies, it's loading. 1 second. We'll proceed with a verbal vote. Commissioner Taylor?
Yes.
Commissioner Zeitz?
No.
Commissioner Terrell?
Yes.
Commissioner Stefan?
Yes.
Commissioner Dejanay?
Yes.
Commissioner Cobian?
Yes.
Chairperson Gonzalez?
Yes.
Thank you.
The motion carries 6-1. Can we have a staff wrap-up, please?
Yes, this recommendation will be taken before the city council for a decision and then adoption of the ordinance, if that is their choice.
Thank you. Thank you, Robert. The next item in the agenda is other commission business. Item J1, consider cancellation of the November 28th, 2024 Planning Commission meeting due to the holiday. May we please have the staff report?
Yes, Commissioners, as you know, we do have a Planning Commission coming up just the day after Thanksgiving, so it is staff's recommendation to take a vote now to cancel that meeting because of the holidays. That concludes my report. Available to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion second to accept staff recommendations for cancellation of the November 28th, 2024 Planning Commission meeting due to Thanksgiving holiday?
I'll motion.
Motion by Commissioner Zeitz,
I'll second it.
motion by Commissioner Steffens. May you please start the vote?
Commissioner Taylor?
Yes.
Commissioner Zeitz?
Yes.
Commissioner Terrell?
Yes.
Commissioner Stefan?
Yes.
Commissioner Dejanay?
Yes.
Commissioner Cobian?
Yes.
Chairperson Gonzalez?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. The motion carries 7-0. Item J2, consider cancellation of the December 26th, 2024 Planning Commission meeting due to the holiday. May you please have the staff report?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I apologize. The previous was the day of the holiday, but this one is the day after Christmas, December 26th. So it's staff recommendation to cancel that one as well because of the holidays week. Thank you.
Do we have a motion and second to accept staff recommendation for the cancellation of the
I
December
just have
26th
one
meeting?
real quick question. Is staff working that day?
December 26th is not a city official holiday, so there will be staff here
Okay. Then
at City Hall.
I feel if they're here, we should be here if there is something that comes up.
Well, I'm going to be
Commissioner
out of
Stefan.
town. I'm not even going to be here. Who else is leaving?
I don't know, maybe we can deliberate and
Do we have items on?
Chair, what I would note is traditionally we do have difficulty obtaining a quorum, which is why staff brought this item to the commission this evening. If there is a possibility for a quorum, then ultimately an item could be conducted on that evening if available. The other thing that we typically find is with it being the day after the holiday, most times the applicants will not be able to be present because their staff will be on vacation or otherwise. So it is unlikely that there would be an item for that agenda, given that circumstance in particular. But if we are able to obtain quorum, there's no reason we couldn't potentially conduct business on that night.
So the compromise would be like, potentially, and you'll let us know, 2 weeks prior, hey, we don't have a meeting, technically, I guess.
Well, staff.
A week prior.
So staff's inquiry at this point would be whether or not the commission would even be able to obtain quorum on December 26th, which is partially the reason we brought this item before you.
Who will be here on the 26th?
Not me.
Obviously.
I'll be here. Yeah.
Then
So according, and we don't know about Commissioner Baker, right? So at least 4 of us will be here.
you do, based off of that, have a quorum in order to conduct business. So with that, you can take however you wish with the motion.
Okay. Do we have a motion as per staff recommendation, or do we have an alternate motion regarding the December 26th, day after Christmas holiday?
I'm making motion to cancel the December 26, 24 Planning Commission due to the holiday.
I second that
Oh,
motion.
me and Nikki.
Okay, let's start the vote.
Commissioner Taylor,
Okay, do I say yes or no in order to cancel? I'm confused.
The motion is to cancel, so if you want
Okay,
that motion to
yes.
pass, you
My-
say yes.
Sorry.
Commissioner Zeitz,
Yes.
Commissioner Terrell,
I say no.
Oh, my God.
Commissioner Stefan,
Yes.
Commissioner Dejanay,
Yes.
Commissioner Cobian,
Yes.
Chairperson Gonzalez.
Yes. That's it. The motion passes 6-1. Okay, thank you. The next item on the agenda is staff comments. Do we have any staff comments?
No comments tonight, but since the November meeting was canceled, I do want to wish the commission happy holidays.
Thank you, Robert, for your words. Planning Commissioner comments. The next on the agenda is Planning Commissioner comments. Do we have any Planning Commissioner comments?
Yes. Though the official votes aren't in yet, I'd like to congratulate Mr. Erlen Gonzalez for his wonderful RAND campaign. And I shouldn't have told people that if I wasn't running, I'd have voted for him too. So congratulations. It was a fantastic, great run.
Congratulations, Erlen.
I enjoyed it.
We're going to
thoroughly.
miss you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to miss you guys too.
No, he won't. He'll be busy. No, fantastic job and
Thank you.
congratulations.
Thank you. And I just want to make a few comments. I just want to thank, go ahead.
Also, happy Thanksgiving and Merry Christmas to the staff as well. Thank goodness we won't be here on the 26th to the 28th. And hopefully that doesn't have any environmental impacts on the city that we're not going to be.
Thank you, Commissioner Dejanay. I just want to say thank you to my peers on the Planning Commission. I've been here since August of last year, and it's been a journey growing with each and every one of you. I learned a lot from everyone in your perspectives, your comments. I've been here in the city of Moreno Valley for 15 years, alternate planning commissioner for 2 years, and that was all I wanted to be. Was a beginning was a permanent planning commissioner, and I wasn't able to get it a few years back, but I stuck with it, and I finally got it last year. But that led me to for further growth, development, and wanting to make a difference in the city and join the residents and you know, where families thrive, right? That was the slogan of the campaign. And definitely, District 3 is where families thrive. You know, I've thrived, and City of Moreno Valley has been very generous to me. And I want to thank my family, who's supported me in this endeavor as a planning commissioner, and also now to be a city councilman in the next, hopefully take the oath in the next few weeks. And also thank staff. I've worked with every one of you from a while already. We went to the academy together. You know, that was a good time. So again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. And it was a privilege being here, and it was an honor. Thank you. Okay. So,
I have one.
Commissioner Kobe.
Sorry. I just wanted to make a comment. I know there was a public comment made earlier about a specific project that I wasn't here to vote on due to official business of my work. But, you know, the project Acobella, granted, it's shiny, it's new, it's really beautiful, and I'm excited for it. That's the truth. I've seen the renderings personally from the developer's office, and I'm excited about it. But what a lot of people don't see is that now more than ever, it's time that we fight for great jobs. You know, you have a shiny new star that a billionaire is going to build, and who's going to benefit from it? So the fact that a mayor stuck his neck out to try to fight for good wages of his city is honorable more than anything. So disparaging comments about the mayor for doing that shouldn't be said. The fact that other council members didn't support him, that's what's disparaging to me. The fact that we couldn't wait a month to actually give the opportunity for labor to talk to the owner and maybe negotiate to make sure that we're gonna have community benefits for the city, that's what's disparaging to me. So I felt necessary to make those comments public because now more than ever, the working class is being attacked by the billionaire class. And this is a prime example of what's going on. So with that, I finish my comments.
Thank you, Commissioner Cobain, for your comments. Any other comments? Okay, seeing none, the Planning Commission meeting is adjourned at 6:47 p.m. to our next regular meeting on December 12th at 6 p.m.